Here we go. It is time for another sprint zone. This one's for 7/15/2025. And I'd like to take this time to thank Ron for his video and telemetry, as well as Ben Nelson for his telemetry. It's always nice to see what the big men are doing up front. Heading into the sprint zone, Thomas and Dean there. Thomas hasn't been out in a while. He's been doing more mountain biking, and it's good to see that he has not forgotten how to ride the road. And I believe he is on his gravel bike. Dean there in his non-usual kit. Normally he's in the red. I almost didn't recognize him. I'm like, I think I know that pedaling style, but where is the Rio kit? And so I point that out because otherwise I'm like, who are you? Anyway, coming into the sprint zone, we got Enrique, who was waiting for us. I believe he had done some of the earlier TTH ride and was looking to probably cool down with us, if you want to call that a cool down. Coming into the corner here onto Prospect, and the rules of engagement state that no one must start any sort of melee until everyone's around the corner. Otherwise, people start fighting for position, etc., etc. So Ron and I were like number 2 and number 3, and then Greg went blowing by us in the corner, and then he sits up. Like, we're doing 17 miles an hour, 18, and he's just kind of like just sitting up here and just kind of like blocking us. Like, what are you doing, Greg? You know, you got Thomas up front, you got Enrique there, 2 of the strongest members here. We want to get a free ride. And so I'm like, what is up with that? Anyway, I wanted to get the party started right. And so I blow by. So I'll take this time to point out, like, Ron sent me his video with his very own Dashware renderings in there. Actually pretty cool. And the little graph that you really can't read well, I may have to do something similar, has a 30-second power and instantaneous power graphed, which I thought was like pretty sick. So I may have to incorporate that. But back to the action. So I'm up front. Looks like I'm pushing, looks like 30-second power, 250 watts. So I'm on it here because I want to keep people honest, you know, and I think maybe, you know, Greg put a bee in my bonnet. Like, you can just sit here and, like, the sprint zone is starting to be dumbed down where people are like, well, let's just go to the top of the hill before we start. Next thing you know, it'll be like no one wanting to work at all. And here we go. Local legend Ben Nelson comes to the front to give me a hand here. And this is nice, except for Ben's not that much of a draft. I mean, he's a little bit of a draft, but I'm still working hard. So now my power is upped. My 30-second power, 300 watts for a second there, trying to hold Ben's wheel. And of course, nobody went with Ben. And you can see the exasperation on Danny's face. The breathing hard, the almost, this isn't easy. Yeah, look at the expression there. There we go. That's what the sprint zone is about. So I'm sitting on Ben's wheel, and I'm figuring people will start to come around, and looking at the video, I can see selection is beginning to occur. The elastic is beginning to snap as those who were not worthy are not there. In fact, oh, it looks like Greg is gone. Sorry, Greg. But don't do that again. Anyway, Danny working hard. I'm working hard. Ben's working hard. I'm coming to this little corner. And I'm hoping like to chill for a little bit. And normally people will come around. But Ben puts on this wicked acceleration in a few moments. And you can see his instantaneous watts are at like 340. 30-second, 320. So Ben can hold this, you know, for a long time. But now the trouble begins for me. You know, he is hitting it hard here. And I am barely hanging on to the point where no mas. You see his 30-second power, 360 watts, and I am cooked. More selection has been made at this point. Danny holding in well. Enrique back there looking good. Thomas looking good. Ron looking good. And the heads of state are all here. Ben looks back, and you can see he looks back. He's like, oh, where's everybody? I want to play. Enrique's going to go for it, and this was a danger move. I'm kind of surprised Thomas didn't go with this, but he hasn't been out for a while, but I'm certain he should know the strength of Ben Nelson. Curtis sitting in there. Danny tacked on here. I'm pretty gassed at this point. I went pretty hard, and I could have sat in. I just did not really have the acceleration, the extra matches to burn when Ron just stood up there. to try to go for them. And I was like, okay, if you think you can make that catch, you want to go for that. Otherwise, you want to bring the group around and try to work together. But I think Ron ends up blowing himself up, and the rest of the group is like, hello, thank you. Sucks to be you, but I appreciate your effort. And looking at the Ron cam, Ron is off the back also. So not only did he shell himself, but he shelled me. And of course, wisdom of knowing who you're with, knowing who you're trying to chase. And let's keep in mind here, you got Ben Nelson, strongest guy on the ride here, probably one of the stronger guys on TTH, winner of many local events. In fact, the weekend just passed after this, age group win in the Foco Fondo 60 mile with a 7th overall. That's who we're talking about here. And you got Enrique up there, obviously has proven himself from last week's video. So now I'm in no man's land. Ron's in no man's land. We're just sitting in no man's land. In fact, the video is no longer interesting. We're in no man's land. But look at Ben's watt. It's over 600 watts for a second. I don't know what he's doing up there, but whatever it is, there's been a rift in the fabric of time and space as a lot of energy was being dissipated here. But I'm just pedaling along, trying to be honest. And as we could see, I had hoped that maybe I could bring back Ron and Danny. But when those two got together, yeah, that was not going to happen. But see, those two got dispatched. It's once again divide and conquer. And if there was any chance of anybody catching Ben and Enrique, actually, there was no chance. So you might as well just settle for second place, But it is a sprint zone. You can do whatever you want. You can work hard and you have fun. So I'm getting brought back here. And even though it looks like my 30-second wattage is 260, not a snoozer. And it looks like Ben Miller, longtime participant from a long time, and Daniel, they come by not looking for any help here. But I'm going to try to tack myself in on the end of this and see how long I can hold on. Looks like there's some other riders that were trying to hold the wheel of Daniel and Ben, but were unable to. Daniel and Ben being very strong riders. So you better have your A games. It looks like that was Dean coming up to catch us. We'll see if he makes it there. So we got Ben and we got Daniel there up front working hard. Even me sitting in 30-second power, 170, 180, this is like no joke. And as we're trying to bring back Ron and Danny, which, with the horsepower we have back here, is not unreasonable. So Dean makes the catch. So weird to see him in that different kit. Ram race team. Oh, RMN something race team. I wonder if that's poser wear. I need to ask him where he got that kit from, because usually a lot of the riders who are on teams don't wear kit that is not for their team or sponsor or for some charity that they're in. It looks like Ben looking for some help here maybe, or looking to see who's going to come around to stay on Dean's wheel. Dean goes straight through, and I didn't think this was this wise, but I think Dean sometimes has happy puppy syndrome, and I'm getting that from Greg. He's just happy to be out there going hard. And I was like, okay, let me recover here a little bit. And it's okay. I'm starting to recover. And then there's the weak flick of the elbow. And you can see it was so weak that this was basically, I got no more, fellows. I can't help you. Whereas he would have sat in with us for maybe 30 seconds. The group would have worked together. And this is something, it's something that actually really frustrated me on the Foco Fondo with not folks. Not Dean in particular, but getting in with people that didn't know how to work well together. It's like, what's the goal here? So anyway, Daniel makes this little attack on us. And I'm like, okay, Ben doesn't want to go. And so I shout back, hey, let's go. We can get him or whatever. And Ben is up for it. And we're going to bring back Daniel, because we can't have this. This is more cowboy going off by yourself, not looking for help. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring you back. And, I can tell over the weeks now that I'm retired that I'm getting more riding in. I'm getting stronger and stronger and stronger every week, even though I was a little fatigued now. So, I'm able to bring back some of these moves. And some of those little weak attacks aren't going to work. So Thomas looks like he gave up the ghost also. Must have been too hot up there in the kitchen. Daniel hanging on to Ben. Ben working hard. And I'm kind of surprised when Ben went so hard at the front. But he's a strong rider, long-time TTH rider, racer. Has a family, hasn't trained as much as he has in the past, but very strong. It looks like he gives up the ghost at this point. Yeah, it's done. Thank you for your service. So I'm on Daniel here, and I'm covering him, and I don't know. I don't think, well, he's on front, so he's not going to try to take, make any attacks. But I'm my 30-second power, 200 watts just sitting in behind him. So Daniel is not going easy here. But I'm on it. There's actually no chance of catching Ron and Danny up there. And you can pay attention to the Ron cam. Ron sitting on that. I'm working hard. Now my 30-second power is like 219, 218. So I'm not certain if Daniel's trying to dispatch me or if he's just trying to go hard, because Daniel likes to work hard. And I like that. When people don't want to go to the front on these sprint zones, when people don't want to work hard, like Daniel's one of the guys that you can count on to like get it done and then go up there. Not like some of the wheel suckers that just want to ride coattail all the way to the end. Yeah, which, it's cool if that's what you want to do, but it's just not my thing. I just want to work hard. So Daniel's on my wheel here. So now I had to up my game because now I'm up the front. Looks like my 30-second power 274, instantaneous watch like 270, 290. So I'm working pretty good here, and I really didn't want Daniel to come around here. So, and I'm thankful they didn't. Actually, I had a little something, saved up if there's going to be a final sprint. But even, now I was like, okay, I'll be happy to make it to the end. So I back it down a little bit. But, I was prepared to stand up and push, which sometimes I need that because, a lot of people, they'll do their intervals and stuff. And I just don't. This is my interval workout because I can't stand structured training. But that may change now that I'm retired and I need to get a life of riding. Anyway, you can take a look at Ron's telemetry there. You can see the stuff that he actually was presented. Let me kind of go. Yeah, it was interesting. Anyway, good time was had by all. Pretty certain Ben won that one. Pretty certain Enrique got second. Well done, gentlemen. Well done.